Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 11:42 p.m. on Monday evening, soon to be going into Tuesday morning. It is 34 degrees outside. I just realized I'm really low on gas. I didn't realize that. I have like an eighth of a tank of gas. So I'm gonna go up here and then turn around and come back and go to my gas station I like to go to. I just dropped off Tanya Jean. I took her to go get a fountain pop. She, what did she get? She loves these like beef stick things. The wrappers are always in the side of my car and I have to like throw them out. But it's like, you know, like a beef jerky, but it's like, it's bigger than that. It just says beef stick on it. I always give her a hard time for it. Anyway, and I am drinking a sparkling water. It's called Aha. Sarah gave me, when we went to brunch, she brought me one of these, because she's the one that got me started on the limoncello, you know, the LaCroix limoncello. So she got me started on these, and this was this first one, and this is Peachy honey. Oh my god, you guys, these are so good. I think I might like them. This is really, really good, the Peachy honey. I think I might like them just as much as the limoncellos. So I tried this one earlier when I was on my our literature meeting tonight, or group, and then when we went to the gas station, I got this one, and this is blueberry pomegranate, and it's good. I really like it. I would say the Peachy, what was the other one? Peachy mango or something. I like that one better, but Peachy honey. Peachy honey. I always laugh about the word peachy because my mom had a good friend from high school, and like one of her really best friends, and her name was Peachy. Her last name was Peachy. And she passed away like probably 20 years before my mom did. But my mom, whenever she would always tell stories about her, and they just called her Peachy. And so whenever I hear that word, I always think of my mom talking about her. It's funny, you know, it's like, I was thinking about this the other day. Well, when I went over to Caroline's, I was talking about Susie, because Caroline knows Susie, but she doesn't know her like I know her. But Susie was really good friends with my aunt too, or she was really good friends with my aunt. And so I was we were talking about Susie's granddaughter goes to IU, and so, what was that? That just rolled. Oh, it's this cup. I have my Starbucks water cup back here too. I guess I can bring it up here now. I moved it so Tanya could put her Coke there. But we were talking about like different schools and how they've been this year and stuff like that, you know, with some students being out and things like that. And I think she was out from like October or November until like February. They came back like in February for the semester, I think, or something. But I remember when they were all coming home and her granddaughter had to fly back out to Colorado. And they just were like, one day they were just like, we're closing down campus. You know, look at my hair, it looks so foolish right now with it like poofing out on either side. And she was a freshman, she's a freshman, so it's not like, you know, she had a lot of experience going back, and Bloomington's in southern Indiana, so it's like, first you gotta get a ride, you know, like, from Bloomington, which is probably an hour and a half from the airport, if not more. You gotta get a ride, maybe 2 hours, so you gotta get a ride from Bloomington to the airport, book a flight, which I think they did all that for her, and then go through. And I can remember something happened like when she got to the airport, because they literally just like closed everything down, and they were like, okay, everybody's got to go home. And Susie's daughter, who I'm like really good friends with, she and I are 7 days apart. She called me and she was like, can you, like, you know, can you help her, like, you know, figure out, like, if she has to stay in, like, I think she had to stay in a hotel room for the night or something like that. And she's, like, a really sweet, good girl. She's traveled a lot around the world, but, like, I don't think she's done a lot of that on her own. And she's just, like, a really good girl, really neat girl. And so Susie's daughter called me and she said, you know, like, can you help if she needs something? And I was like, yeah, sure. I think she forgot her wallet or something. She lost her wallet. They ended up finding it. I think that's what it was. It was like a phone case that had like a wallet in it, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I was like, yeah, I can, like, she can come and stay with us for the night. I can take her back to the airport in the morning, you know, if she needs to. And she was like, oh, no. She's like, they got everything. They figured it out. Like, they got a hotel room for her and stuff like that. But because they were overbooking all these flights, and it just, like, you know, like every college campus in Indiana, I'm sure it was like that all over the country, but like every college campus just literally closed down on the same day. And so you got all of these students that are flying out trying to go home, you know. And so anyway, Caroline and I were talking about that last night. Why did I bring that up? I don't know why I brought that up. But anyway, I was thinking about, like, I was talking about Susie. Like, Susie's really my mom's only friend that is still alive. Oh, that's not true. My dad's partner's wife is still alive. But it's interesting to me, you know, it's like, it makes me sad because I worry about, like, well, there's a couple, I guess, 2 or 3, 4 really close friends that she had through the years. And, you know, you wonder if you're gonna, like, get that call. You know, it's like, Caroline had brought up that one of my aunt's really good friends, and somebody that my mom knew too, but was a really good friend of my aunt's, like all the way back to college, had passed away like 2 weeks ago or something. And I had actually heard about it from another friend of ours. So Caroline was asking me if I had heard about it, and I said, yeah, it's really sad. And so she was telling me, and she was like, she said, what was so crazy, she was like, when I looked at her obituary and people had, like, posted pictures up, she said, this person's license plate on their Jeep, they have like a Jeep Wrangler, and it says Jeep thing on it. That's her license plate. That's cute, isn't it? But anyway, she said she was like, when I looked at the obituary pictures, they had, like, you know, all these pictures up of her and stuff like that on the obituary online. I guess a lot of people are doing that because they can't, a lot of places are still not having, you know, funerals. Although I drove by this funeral home today and it was, like, really, like, packed for a funeral. Indiana, I think we're back at 75%. I think we're back at 75 or 100, maybe 100%. But she said it was weird when she got online and she was looking at the pictures on the obituary. She said mom was, like, in all of them, like her mom, my Aunt Kathy. She said it was so weird seeing all those pictures. It's weird, like, when your parents get to that age, you know, and you don't think of them being that age, you know. It's like my dad, when I talk to him on the phone, I mean, he's still so, he's 80, you know, and, like, I feel like I'm talking to a, you know, 55, 60-year-old on the phone. And he's still super active, too. I think that's the hard thing for me sometimes with my dad. It's like, I have friends of mine whose parents literally are the same age as my dad, and for like the last 10 years they've been like in retirement homes or assisted living programs, and they really couldn't be on their own, you know. And then my dad is so, like, still with it, and I mean, he just, you know, retired a year ago, and I'm like, well, a little bit over a year ago. Was it a year? Or has it not been a year? I don't even remember now, but anyway. And he, like, and my dad is loving retirement. I always thought, because he used to say, I don't know what I'll do when I retire. And I talked to him a couple times ago, and I said something about, are you bored yet? Because I always thought my dad, he was always, like, left the house at, like, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning and didn't come home late and worked and sat on boards and had all this stuff that he did, you know, and was always involved in stuff, and and for much of his life was really active as far as, like, working out and running and things like that. My stepmom too. And I said to him, I said, are you bored yet? And he goes, I'm not bored at all. He's like, I'm loving retirement. there's my dad for you. So, on my dad's side, everybody lives to be really old. And, except for my grandfather, but he was really out of shape and not healthy. And he had a massive heart attack. My grandma lived to be 93. And I believe, I could be wrong, she fell and hurt her hip and then had to go to the hospital. I think it was like an infection she got at the hospital. She was like a really healthy 93-year-old, lived on her own, cooked every day. She was like super healthy. My dad's brother, he was like 95, I think. He was in high school when my dad was born, so yeah, that would make sense. Like, no. I think he was like maybe 90, 91 when he passed away, because that was a couple years ago. I was actually on YouTube when I did that, because I can remember filming going up there. Anyway, it's crazy when the people, you know, I've talked about this on here before with like my mom passing away and my aunt and uncle, but it's like when those people that were your history or your past are gone, it's like, because to Caroline, I'll say like, do you remember this or do you remember, and she like doesn't remember a lot. The other thing is like, you know, my mom and my aunt shared a common history, but then my dad and Caroline's dad, even though they were really close, they were like really good friends, even until like when my uncle died, like they had completely different histories from different families. So Caroline has memories with that side of her family, and I have memories with my dad's side of the family that like Caroline doesn't remember, you know what I mean? And there's really nobody that does. Like, I'm not really close with my, you know, cousins and my aunts and uncles on that side. I have one cousin I'm pretty close with on my dad's side that lives in Indianapolis, and I talk to her from time to time, and it's really nice whenever we talk. And my aunt, her mom, I'm like really close with her too. But other than that, it's just like, I'm not super close with my cousins. I'm the youngest, and I think the next oldest cousin is like 7 or 8 years older than me. And then after her, it's like, it jumps like 10 years. My oldest cousin, who was my dad's brother's first son, he was born when my dad was like 15. So he's like way old, and like that's my dad's first nephew. He's like way older than me. And so yeah, it's crazy, you know, when you get older and it's like all these people that just were like, I think you take it for granted when you're growing up, and it's just like, oh yeah, my mom's from this, my aunt this, and then all of a sudden it's just like one day you hear like so-and-so's gone, and it's like you haven't even seen him in so long, and they were like, at some point in your life, they were such a significant part or meant so much, you know, and it's hard, it's really hard. I think it's kind of the same thing that happens as you like get older with your friends too. Like I remember with my friends growing up, like when I was in high school with my friends, I can remember thinking, like really believing it. And I know that everybody does when you're in high school, really believing that we would be like diehard friends for the rest of our lives. Like talk a couple times a week, see each other, live in the same town, everything, you know. If not living in the same town, visiting each other several times a year. I mean, I really believed that. And you know, when I do see my friends from time to time, like my friends that were twins, I like 2 of my closest friends were twins in high school. They came to visit a couple years ago because their dad passed away. We got together with another friend of mine. We went to her condo. We picked, well, my friend and I, we picked them up, and then we went back to her condo and we got pizza and stuff and hung around and sat around. We drove around, listened to music. It was really fun. But you know, I mean, it had been 25 years since really we had seen each other and hung out. I mean, my friend that lives here, she and I see each other from time to time, but not very often. I mean, I haven't seen her now probably in 2 years, I don't know. But anyway, and it was kind of like no time had passed. I mean, we just kind of hung out and it was fun, you know, it was like old times. But what I realized was, like, we are very different people. And even, like, with my friend, like, I have a friend that lives here, the one that I went to elementary, or kindergarten, elementary, junior high, high school, college, graduate school. We used to go out together all the time. We traveled together when I was drinking. She's the one that came and picked me up from treatment. We're very different, too. Like, when I've talked to her, I've bumped into her. I mean, that one time I ran into her at Meijer, and she bought me, she was like, I know you, because she watches my videos sometimes. She's like, I know you love Fountain Pops, and she was like, I want to buy you a Fountain Pop. So she bought me a Fountain Pop at Meijer, and we stood outside. It was like, I think in the summer, I don't remember. We either stood outside or inside, I can't remember, but we stood there for like an hour and a half and just talked. And I run into her from time to time. Alex has run into her a couple times. It's so funny, because she's like one of my only friends that calls me Pete, like my dad and my stepmom do. Like, my mom always called me Peter. From every once in a blue moon, she called me Pete, but very rarely. And so I see her, and we're very different too. Like, it's nothing about them that it's like I don't like. It's not that at all. It's just, I just don't think that we would be like great friends today. Like, even if we lived around each other and saw each other on a regular basis. It's funny because, and I'm not just saying this because I know she watches my vlog, which she does. And she and I have actually talked a couple times. My friend that watches the vlog and comments and stuff, I think she watches like every day. But honestly, I think like she and I might be like the only ones that actually would have a friendship today. Because I think we're very, I don't know. I haven't, like, here's the thing too, like, a lot of my friends have kind of hardened over the years. I mean, I think it's definitely something that happens with age a little bit. You know, you get kind of hardened in your beliefs and in your lifestyle and stuff. That hasn't really happened to me a lot. I feel like part of what happened was when everybody else was feeling liberated in high school and feeling free and they could be themselves and explore, you know, who they were. I didn't feel that way, you know. I didn't feel that way because of my sexuality, which was such a huge part to who I was, you know, and not about that. It was about who I liked and who I had crushes on, and really feeling free to be myself and dance around and be silly, you know, and blast to music and whatever. And I did some of that, but like there was always like a restraint to it, you know. You know, I talk about being too much. I can remember holding it in and not allowing myself to be too much, and not because my friends were telling me to not be that. It'd be interesting to know what my friends thought of me in high school. I mean, I can tell you all of my friends would say we knew Peter was gay, even though he didn't say anything to us, but because I've had that conversation with many of them. But I mean, it'd be interesting to know what they thought of me, like as far as just who I was as a person. Because I don't know that I was really, like, I don't know that I really knew myself. I know I didn't know myself. I mean, I think it's hard to know yourself at that age. But I think, you know, that while other people were, you know, blossoming and coming into their own, I just was so restrained. And then when I came out and I started going out and I was drinking and using drugs, I think it was like almost like overflow of who I was, but almost not like that still wasn't who I was. That was like overboard, you know, of me, like, let me be wild and crazy and whatever, which I don't really think I'm that wild and crazy, you know, at my core, really. And I think it's really taken me 26 years to start really figuring out who I am, honestly. 26 years of my sobriety to really figure out, you know, who I am and, you know, what's my soul and what does my soul speak of. I was talking about this in a Peterisms video today. I think that was today. And I just think it's, you know, I don't know. I just really held back and didn't allow myself to completely be myself. And it's sad. I think a lot of lost years, you know. And honest to God, if I didn't have those girls as my friends in high school, those girlfriends of mine, I wouldn't have been able to be half of who I was, you know? I think, like, I have a lot of, friends of mine today that are out that when they were in high school, they were athletes and, very academic, and their families expected, and a lot of their families love them today unconditionally, and their coming out process wasn't bad. But like at that time, they didn't know that. They didn't feel that. They didn't feel like they could be who they wanted to be until they went to college, And, which I think college can be so liberating for people, or just graduating and working or whatever is so liberating, because you can, for the first time, if you don't have to live at home anymore, kind of be yourself, or at least go away and be yourself while you're not at home. And, but so many of my friends that I know today were like, and I also have a lot of friends of mine that were in the military that like graduated and went into the military. I have quite a few friends. Alex has quite a few friends too. And, that was in the whole generation of don't ask, don't tell. And, which was a really big deal. And I think we forget about that. I don't know. I had so many friends of mine that just were like, lived dual lives for a very long time, Like being on the down low was like, well, being on the down low is kind of a different thing than having a dual life, kind of. But like I knew quite a few people that like at work and to their families, like when I came out, like I knew quite a few people that like, lived in an apartment in the city and had like their friends and, their gay friends that they went out to and stuff like that. And then they had like work friends and family that knew nothing about their private life whatsoever. I had a lot of friends like that. It was a different world, that was like really addressed in that movie, It's a Sin. Really, really addressed. Especially at the end, with the mother. If you've watched that series, the end, it's this cup down here that's rattling. It's driving me crazy, but oh, you know what I could do is I could put, Peter, you're so silly. The whole situation, the whole scene with the mother at the end was so hard for me to watch. It was so hard for me to watch. And but through the whole thing, there was conversations. There was a teacher, and the teacher was like, I can't be out at school, I'll get fired. And there was that conversation with a lot of the people, like the main character, Richie, who was an actor. It was like, well, if anybody, and I was thinking about this, because it's like, today, like, so many actors, come out, but at the same time, like, it's still a big deal when actors come out today, and, the whole idea of being, like, stereotyped or typecasted as a certain character because they're out and they're gay, I think it's still, like, Hollywood treats it that way today. I really do. And, a lot of these actors that are coming out are in all of, like, Ryan Murphy's, plays, or not plays, but, like, movies and series and things like that, which I think it's great that he's created an environment where they can be out and comfortable and have those lives. It's not the same as it was back in the day, but, I mean, I just can remember it, like, so vividly, the fear people had of anybody finding out, And then, like, the idea of, you didn't just come out once, like, you came out over and over and over again. Because it was, like, something that you had to tell people, Like, even if they assumed it or thought it, it was, like, something that they had to, it was like if you started a new job or started a new semester in school and you met new people and, or whatever. It's like, it just was a different world. And I really forget about it too, it's like, it was interesting. I was on Twitter today, and I don't know, I really shouldn't speak to this because I don't know a lot about it. I need to read the article about it. But they were talking about how the Catholic Church proposed, like, sanctions against LGBT marriages or unions, weddings, and that they weren't going to approve like, you know, basically marriage equality, same-sex marriages. And the Pope, like, signed off and agreed with this. And, like, people on Twitter were like, this is horrible, blah, 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 I can't believe this, and whatever. And I'm like, are we surprised? Like, I guess that was my response to it. Like, I know the Catholic Church in the last couple years, and just the last couple years, and I'm not Catholic, so it's whatever to me, but have tried to be a little bit more progressive, I think because they're losing people within their church. I think that's part of it. But, like, I can remember, I'm trying to think of when the first discussion of, like, marriage equality would have been that I really remember, because there was a long time that I didn't remember anybody ever talking about, like, us getting married. Like, maybe 20, 25 years ago. Probably it was around then. Because I can remember my mom, she and my dad got married at this church in Indianapolis, and it was an Episcopal church. And my mom was, like, always so proud, because it was a church that she had gone to when she was, like, growing up. She started going with her friends, I think. And she was always so proud because they had, like, the first woman, like, pastor, and then they also had the first church to marry same-sex couples in Indianapolis. And my mom was always so proud of that, you know? And my mom was somebody that, like, was very versed on religious beliefs and religious ideas and things like that. And I remember, she knew what she was talking about. It wasn't just like she was pulling an opinion out of thin air, you know? She knew what she was talking about. She was very well read on stuff. And I can remember talking about the Catholic Church with her back in the day, and about their disapproval, you know, of LGBT rights and things like that. And I don't know, it just surprises me today that it doesn't surprise me what the Catholic Church has done. Like, I think when we talk about progressiveness, the Catholic Church will be one of the last people that signs off on it, of being aware of what they should do, you know? Like, of course I am completely in support of marriage equality. My husband and I fought about it, or not fought about it, we fought for it for years. It's what got us on the front of the USA Today when we were married, you know, when marriage equality was legalized. And I mean, Alex and I, we believe so fervently in marriage equality, and, you know, went and talked on radio shows and Telemundo and things like that about marriage equality. And so obviously I'm completely in 100%, 150% support. Isn't it silly when people say 150% because there's no such thing? But you know what I mean. Obviously I'm in complete support, but at the same time, I don't live in a fantasy world where I think the Catholic Church tomorrow is going to, I mean, that would have to, like, change. I think we're several popes down the road, probably, from that. And I think that I don't know. I don't know. It surprised me that other people were surprised by it, I guess. I'd like to live in a world where a lot of things were changed. I'd like to live in a world where a lot of things were changed and people were safe. You know, the safety factor scares the hell out of me, you know, that trans people are one of our most at-risk people in our country. You know, it scares the hell out of me. For friends of mine, and I just am like, and I think that that's why it's important to be educated and advocate for what's right, but I think that safety is a huge part of that. And I think sometimes we forget about the safety aspect when there are some really scary people out there in the world, you know? And I'm not just talking about serial killers. I'm talking about people that want to make an example. It's scary. I have a friend of mine, passed recently, and he and his boyfriend both, actually, I hadn't talked to him in years and years and years and years and years, but they both passed like 2 weeks apart from COVID in the hospital. it stopped. But I was saying that he and I were really close back in the day. We lived in the same apartment complex, and his best friend was my boyfriend the year before I went into treatment. So he and I were really close. We hung out together a lot. And neither of us were working at that time, so we would hang out together a lot during the day. And he was so much fun. He looked just like Eddie Murphy, but like tall and big and muscular. And he was hilarious. And God, one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life. But you know, I remember back in the day, he was leaving this bar called NYC downtown. And he had been talking to these guys that came in there, and they had like bought him a drink or something. And so when he was leaving, and he was out by himself that night, when he was leaving, I think maybe I don't remember. I think he was out by himself. But anyway, he was driving home, and one guy got in the back seat and the other guy got in the front seat. Oh, they asked him if he could drive him home. They're like, he's like, where do you live? And they told him, and he said, yeah, okay, sure. Just thought they were just, you know, two nice gay guys that were, you know, out or whatever. And the guy in the back held a gun to his head and made him pull the car over in this area that was kind of like dark, you know, and whatever. And it was actually, if you live in Indianapolis, it was like at 42nd and College. And but there's like back then there were like abandoned houses and stuff like that, so it was real dark, like you couldn't see anything. And they made him get out of the car and they put him on the ground. And this is a big guy. He was like a big guy. And they started calling him all kinds of derogatory names. And this situation and another situation that happened with a friend of mine really changed a lot in Indianapolis, I believe, about like hate crime things. And this was actually after the Matthew Shepard thing happened. And they were like calling him all these derogatory names and kicking him and hitting him in the head with a gun and stuff like that. And they asked him if he was afraid to die. And he said no, or something like, they said, are you afraid to die? And they were calling him all these names and stuff, and he said no. And they said, which is weird because I had read that book sometime after that about she said yes. Oh no, that was Do You Believe in God? And she said yes, about the Columbine shooting thing. Wasn't that Columbine? Maybe it wasn't Columbine, maybe it was something else. But anyway, did you ever read that book? She said yes. It was a powerful book. I read it years and years and years ago. I can see her face and her face on the cover of it. But they asked him if he was afraid to die, and he said no. And they were like, you should be afraid to die. They called him all his names. And then they shot him in the head, and they took his car. They stole his car. And he lived. I mean, he lived from then till just recently. And he was probably 10 years older than me. And I can remember after that happened just being like, I cannot believe this happens. I mean, like, here we are out in Indianapolis just dancing and having fun and drinking and not thinking about things. And like, I can't believe that this happened. Like, I just literally cannot believe that happened. You know what? I must have been sober, I think, when that happened, because I can remember talking to his friend, who was my ex, and I said, like, talking to him and asking him what happened and calling him and being like, I'm really, really sorry. And I can remember that was like some ordeal because I wasn't supposed to talk to him. Because like my sponsor or my counselor had said I wasn't supposed to be talking to him. But anyway, because I'd used a lot with them. But I remember like that being so scary. Before that happened, I think it was before, maybe it was after, I don't know, but I'm almost positive it was before. This woman that I was friends with now, when I was 22, I bet she was probably 45, if a day. And she was fun, and she was a lesbian, and she lived in Lockerbie, which is in downtown Indianapolis. And she lived there with these two gay guys that I was friends with that were a couple. And we were, oh my God, she was so much fun. We had so much fun. She walked out of the same nightclub, NYC. It was called NYC. It was on Mass Ave. I think it's like a restaurant now. And these guys saw her, and there was always a cop parked in front of the gay bar, and he was in his car, and they like followed her, and there was like an alley right after it, like a block down, and they followed her and they pushed her into the alley and they beat the crap out of her, and she was screaming and yelling the whole time. The cop was sitting in his car and never heard it, nothing, and like literally beat her to a pulp. So they leave her to die. She crawls out of the alley and she like climbs up to this police car. She got like, they were like questioning her like she did something wrong. It was always interesting because they usually like at Pride Day and outside of bars and stuff like that, like there was this bar that was here for a year, it was called Talbot Street, and either like the police officers in front of it were always supposed to be gay police officers or gay friendly police officers. Like you wouldn't put, you know, like a homophobic police officer out front outside of a gay bar, you know? So it was like supposed to be for us to feel safe. It wasn't, does that make sense? And it was always to be very protective of those environments for us because, you know, LGBTQIA plus people, we need safe environments, you know? But they like didn't believe her story or something. I can't remember what happened with that. And then I had a friend of mine, she's still alive today, she's trans, and she was leaving like when the bar was closing, and some guys just beat the crap out of her. Just literally like just pummeled her, beat the crap out of her. And she fought back, and she was terrified. And she didn't like, from then on, like, they didn't let anybody like leave the bar by themselves. Like they had to walk to and from with somebody, you know? Scary world out there. People are nuts. They really are. I've never really understood that kind of like, I mean, I've experienced anger in my life. I've never understood that kind of level of true anger or rage where you like, I've never really understood it on that level. I just don't get it. I don't know, I just can't understand it. You know, sometimes I look at like Boo and Tucker and they're so sweet and they're just like laying there in bed. Especially like Boo Radley, because he'll lay across my chest late at night. And he'll look into the fan and he'll just like put his head up and the fan like blows these little hairs on top of his head. And I think like, what sweet, gentle little guys, you know? And I always say to Alex, I'm like, he literally wouldn't hurt a fly. Like, he literally wouldn't hurt a fly, you know? Wouldn't. I mean, they bark a lot when they see a squirrel or, you know, something like that, they'll run after it. But they literally wouldn't hurt anybody, you know? And, and yet, we think we're so much more advanced, don't we? Powerful thought when you really think about it, you know, that you have this little puppy dog that really doesn't have the capacity to put contextual ideas together like that, you know. And if you have a dog that has any kind of personality whatsoever, you'll know this is true. Dogs get their feelings hurt. Dogs get sad, I think. Dogs get happy. Dogs get excited. And I think dogs get angry. I think dogs get angry because they get scared. But then you see a dog like Boo Radley, or Tucker's the exact same way, you know, that literally is the most sweetest, gentlest, kindest little thing in the world that really would never hurt even a flea, you know. And you look at them and you think, like I said, but we think we're so advanced, don't we? We think we really have it all figured out. That we're so much more intelligent than these little innocent creatures that are so sweet and gentle, you know? We could learn a thing or two. We could definitely learn a thing or two. Have you ever cried and your dog comes up to you when you're crying? always meet these people that like think that I'm like this hardcore activist because I'm vegetarian, which I'm not, and I don't preach to people about it. I do it because I want to do it. I do it because it's my choice. I do it because it's my life, and so that's what I want for my life. Often, it's interesting, it'll be servers at restaurants. Usually I get one of two things. I get servers like we had at this place, this Traders Point Creamery loft that we went to the other day. I usually get people that are like so kind and so nice. Well, a lot of servers are vegetarians too. But either I get the three different kinds. Servers that are vegetarians, servers that are just like really cool about the whole thing and like know all the options, or I get servers, I guess there's just maybe four types. Servers that just don't care, and servers that want to prove a point to you. And will ask you questions like, well, why are you a vegetarian? Well, how long have you been a vegetarian? You know, they tell you that it's good to eat that kind of, but if you really knew the truth, carnivores are healthier. And they'll say this stuff to you, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, like, what are you trying to prove here? Because I'm not arguing with you. I just always am like, oh yeah, really? Oh, okay. Sure. Even when they just like are spouting off things that I know that are absolutely incorrect because I actually live it as a lifestyle. So, but it's always interesting to me when people say that, and they'll say things like animals don't have souls. And I'm like, animals don't have souls? Be crying at your house, and when your dog walks over to you and sits next to you and licks your hand or licks your face where you're crying, don't tell me animals don't have souls. Don't even give me that, you know? I believe animals have souls. It is so still tonight. We had our literature meeting. Here, I'm switching topics. There you go. We had our literature meeting tonight. I'm not going to vlog for a whole lot longer. Oh my God, I finished Verity last night by Colleen Hoover. I ended up giving it 4 stars, you guys, the ending. And I actually filmed a booktube video talking about it today, but I didn't get it up in time to go pick up Tanya because we had our literature meeting and stuff. So I'm going to put it up tomorrow. So on Tuesday, when you're watching this, you can watch my booktube vlog if you want to. I think it's called Deep Book Discussion or something, and you can see what I had to say about Verity. So I won't go on and on about it over here. So anyway, I finished that last night. The ending was blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I still think the writing was horrible and the narration was not fun to listen to. But I think it was because the actress that read the book, the actor, she like had, like, she did do 2 different parts, and like one part was fine, and the other part, like one part I think was her, and the other part was like this character she was trying to do, and it just was unsettling to listen to say the least. It just didn't, I don't know. But anyway, and then when I finished it, but I gave it 4 to 5 stars because the ending was so powerful. And then my battery has been at like halfway forever. I can't believe it hasn't started flashing yet. And there's the gas station, so I'm gonna go up here and turn around and come back and get gas anyway, because I'm like right at 1/8 of a tank of gas right now. But then when I finished it, I started Sanitarium, which is my book club pick for this month for Peter's Book Club. So when I get done vlogging tonight, I'm going to listen to a little bit of that. I have to, Tanya and I have to go pick up a friend tomorrow night before the meeting. So I have to leave earlier than I usually leave to go to my meeting tomorrow night. Which is whatever. I'm excited for all of us to go together. Tuesday nights are fun for me. We get to have, like, you know, a fun night. Just hang out and laugh and tell stories and stuff. But today I had this recovery commitment thing today that didn't end up happening. And then after that, I did a review video, and I did a bunch of videos. And then came home, did videos at home. I had my literature meeting tonight. We talked about hope in sobriety, and talked about how, you know, like being positive role models for other people and letting other people see that there is a fun life out there, that sobriety is not always just this serious, sour thing, that it's about fun too. So we talked about that, And there was... Hold on a second. There was, I think, 5 of us. Me and Tanya. There's 5 of us tonight. There's only 6 of us total now, because one of the members, she had a baby, darling little baby, and then our sponsor had to actually leave our group because she was doing a workshop with a bunch of other people that she was like helping she had made a commitment long before to put it together and help with it. And then this other woman that was in there tonight, she wasn't there. And there was another person that got a new job. So we used to have like 8 or 9, and now we're down to 6 total. So 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we used to have 9, and now we're down to 6. It's actually nice that it's smaller because we like get through it a lot faster. Actually, I got off there tonight, and we got off like 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early, and Alex was like, that was short tonight. And sometimes we go real long just with that many people, but I was like, yeah, there just wasn't that much to read tonight, and we all shared, and I just felt very spiritual when it was over. I've like really felt very spiritual and just peaceful and content all day today. It's fantastic. I love that feeling, you know. And I just looked over here. I was like, where's my water? My bottle of water that I brought with me. Which I then... That was a new water. Or did I bring it early? That was from earlier today. Was it from earlier? It was from earlier today. Because I ended up pouring it out because I was like, I don't have enough places to put my down here. And then I have 2 cans over here. I'm going to actually go down here and then around. Come back to go to the gas station. So yeah, so it was great. And then I texted Tanya and I said, do you want to go... get a fountain pop? And she was like, yeah, sure, but can you give me an hour? Because she was doing some stuff at the house with Eric. And I was like, yeah, sure. Because then I got my Peterisms video up for today, and then I had done a Peter Does Stuff video. Maybe I got it up earlier, but I started uploading that. So anyway, oh my god, I had so much fun today, you guys. We had an ice storm when I woke up. I mean, this wasn't the fun part of it, but there had been an ice storm like early this morning, and so when I woke up, it was beautiful outside. Like all of the trees, like literally, like because you know there's no leaves on the trees right now, and they each had like little ice and stuff over it. And like the ground wasn't slick because the ground had melted, but it was still cold enough that the trees were holding on to it. So it was like everything else was like, you know, had melted, and it was just, you know, nice outside, or not nice, but it was like 30 outside. So, what is that over there? Oh, I was like, is that a taco place? It looks like a fun Mexican restaurant, but it's like, what do you call it? Lawnmowers and stuff. It's like the Toros thing, but it almost looked like a Mexican restaurant. I'm always looking for new Mexican restaurants because I love Mexican food so much. Verde is my new favorite right now. I'm like obsessed with because they have empanadas. But anyway, oh, and they have this queso that is unbelievable too. But anyway... Anything else? Street corn. Oh, the street corn at Verde is incredible as well. Actually, the street corn at Livery is 100 times better because it's not like liquid. There's no liquidy in it. There's no liquid in it. And in the one at Verde, it has liquid in it. But the one at Verde has more of a lime flavor to it. Put the lime in the coconut. Do you guys remember that song? But anyway, the one at Livery, which I love Livery too, it has... it's like, it doesn't have any liquid into it, but it's really good. You know what's so funny is that when we were at my brother and sister-in-law's not too long ago, I think it was for her birthday that night, she, like they had pizza that had like meat on it and stuff, so she was like, Liliana was like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, I'm a little bit hungry, but I can wait till we leave here or whatever. And she was like, oh no, I'm making something. And she made me like street corn just sitting right there. She like whipped it together literally like that quick. She like took a can of corn and she put like mayonnaise in it and then like hot sauce and different kinds of powder. And she made street corn like in the microwave, like literally that quick. And it was delicious. And I was like, oh my God, how does she do this? It was so good. But anyway, it tasted just like every other street corn that I order because I love them all. But what was I saying? I don't remember now. Oh, anyway, so I got those videos up, and then I totally lost my train of thinking. I totally lost what I was gonna say. So anyway, I got those videos up, then I went and picked up Tanya for the fountain pup, and then we drove around for a little bit. She's so funny. I went to go get the water today. I said, I want another one of those waters, and she goes, I have had enough water today. I need a fountain pup. And I said, okay, Tanya Jane. She got a beef stick too. Did I already say that? She loves her beef sticks. I feel like I was saying something. Now I've totally lost my train of thinking. Is that the right thing? I can't think of anything. I can't say anything now. Oh man. It is gonna start raining, and I'm not in the mood for that. Oh, the ice. That's what I was going to say, the ice. Because I was just thinking, I hope it doesn't ice over. So, I walked outside, and it was like, all of the trees were like, had little ice, you know, layer of ice over all of them, and it was beautiful. And so, I wanted to do a video for my Peter Does Stuff channel. So, because I'm really trying to just do like daily vlogging over there, but just like everyday little stuff. And so, I went to that Richie Woods again, and I walked around in there, and it was so pretty, but I was like the only one until the end, when these other, like, there was like 3 girls that came in there, and they were taking like photos and doing like a photo shoot kind of deal or whatever. But until then, I was like the only one in there, and it was kind of scary. Like, I realized, I said it in there, but like, I think like the reading and documentaries and true crime stuff that I do, and all the scary books and scary movies and stuff that I watch, I think they're really starting to like affect me, because my mind was on full blast when I was in the woods. I was like waiting for a serial killer to come out and get me at any moment. But it is starting to flash red now, so I am going to get off here before the battery dies, and listen to Sanitarium. I want to call it Sanatorium because that's how it looks in my head, but it's Sanitarium. So, Sanatorium. Is it Sanitarium? Sanitarium? It's Sanitarium. I should know, Melissa and Aaron, they used to go to those places where they would go ghost hunting all night long. It would be like something state sanitarium, so I should know that in my head. I'm gonna go read Sanitarium now. Anyway, by Sarah Pierce, I think it's by. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and yeah, have a blessed day. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.